My name is Jenny Ahlstrom, and I am the CEO and founder of HealthTree Foundation.
Hey, I'm JP Capdevila, HealthTree CTO.
We are very excited to have our fourth Myeloma Monday. This has been a whole month-long adventure in sharing what we are doing with our technology to advance myeloma cures. And now we're thrilled to be here with you for the fourth Myeloma Monday. So far, we've shared the clinical trial finder, we have shared our new app, we have shared the release of Leaf, our new AI assistant, and today we're going to be talking about how you can contribute to faster cures. So, how are cures found in myeloma? When I was diagnosed almost 15 years ago, the pace of research seemed pretty slow to me, and the hypothesis for actually creating the HealthTree Foundation was this, what we're going to be talking about today, that patients together can help drive faster cures and fuel breakthroughs. As I looked at I did some research in preparation for today.
I'm nervous now. Okay.
And I looked at the last 75 years of myeloma development. So really development for myeloma care began in the 1950s. And if you look at that date to today, that's 75 years of progress. So we have 25 drugs that have been approved for myeloma care. And when I was diagnosed, about 50% of patients were still dying at 5 years. We didn't have daratumumab, we didn't have teclistamab, we didn't have elrantamab, we didn't have all these, we didn't have CAR T therapies, we didn't have any of that. But yet, 75 years later, and even just in 15 years of this, 40% of patients are still dying in less than 5 years. And we still do not have a myeloma cure. So I have to ask myself, how long do I personally want to wait for a cure? Like,
0.
I know, right?
Yesterday.
So do I want to sit back and wait for this traditional research model to work? And I have to be honest, I don't want to wait. I love the doctors. I think these researchers are brilliant and amazing. They have this traditional model that they work with. Most of the new developments happen inside of a clinical trial. And a lot of patients might not know what a clinical trial is, but that's when a researcher has this research question, or they're testing out new drugs. And they say version A versus version B, let's break patients into 2 different groups, or 3 different groups, let's test it all, let's see how it ends up resulting, and then we'll publish our results and we'll share it, or a new drug will get approved because of it. Now, on average, that's 17 years from a new drug to be an idea to fully get through that clinical trial process. And that process is essential because that's how the FDA approves drugs. But only 77% of patients are joining these types of studies. You might not know how you can join, or if you should join, or if something's right for you to answer a certain research question. You might be intimidated by thinking like they're testing something on you, or you just live too far away to travel. So if we're going to have only 7% of patients be participating in research, we're going to wait a long time.
I'd rather have 100%, right?
Yeah. So we've got to find a different way that 100% of patients can really join this type of research. And come up with new research methodologies. So we're answering these questions. Yes, clinical trials should still be the standard of care or methodology for getting new drugs developed. But these researchers have thousands of questions they want answered. So is there a way for patients to contribute and join this effort? And today we're here to tell you, yes, you can. And you should join this effort, because collectively we can help fuel these new breakthroughs as patients with data. So today's announcement is exactly that. It is sharing with you how 100% of us can participate in the research process, and we have the power to revolutionize this model. So we are fueling breakthroughs, we are aggregating our data, and we are putting our data to work to actually cure multiple myeloma. So I'll turn it over to you to show us how we're doing this.
So this is going to be data-oriented, but we're going to have some fun as well. So just to give you guys and Jenny some scale sense, how many unique data points do you think you have in HealthTree? When you connect your medical records and all your history, how many unique data points do you think you have?
Well, I've been treated for 15 years almost, so 50,000.
90,000. So
okay, wow, that's a lot.
every time
for one patient, that's a lot.
For one patient. So, and I checked a month ago, and you had around 85,000. So that means that by you being connected and being part of HealthTree Cure Hub, your story continues, and you keep sharing your data, and all that data gets shared back with researchers. And I'm going to show you how that looks like in a second, but let's continue with this trivia. Okay. For all users, how many unique data points do you think we have?
I don't know, 10 million.
Higher?
Okay, 25 million.
Higher?
50 million?
70. And
that's
so
incredible.
So that's what gets me super excited. We created this platform and this opportunity for patients to participate in research, not only when they're looking for a trial, because as you were saying, maybe you're far away from a trial, but this opportunity of advancing research is always available, right? You may be in relapse, amazing, for a very long time, hopefully. You always have that opportunity to join Cure Hub, share your medical records, and we give access to all researchers. So 70 million unique data points. That's a lot of data to work with.
It's incredible, yeah.
Do you have any examples of cool projects we've done that have used this data to come up with insights? There's a few in my mind, but...
Well, let's start a few years ago. You know, there was a patient that was, at the time, the dose of dexamethasone was like 40 milligrams. And it was almost like a daily dose of 40 milligrams when you were on it, which makes you completely psychotic. And it was ruining it made him diabetic, it messed with his blood sugar, and he really asked the question, like, do we really need this level of dexamethasone? And they listened to him. He ran clinical ran clinical trials about it and found that, okay, 20 milligrams of dexamethasone works just as well, if better, than the 40 milligrams. So that kind of launched this idea, plus the whole thalidomide experience that was patient-driven, that, you know what, patients can change the face of research if we all get involved and we're participating. So that was one idea that kind of launched this idea, this concept that patients can get involved. In terms of the projects that we've done, amyloidosis is a really terrible disease that can accompany myeloma, but you can get all these plaque buildups essentially like in your brain or your heart or your liver. You can have organ damage, failure. It's terrible. So we know that there aren't that many amyloidosis patients, and we did a survey to find out why are these patients getting diagnosed so late, and we had to involve 8 different centers and different researchers to participate to get enough patients to answer this survey. And so now we know. We also did a project to continue the dexamethasone theme because this is a drug everyone thinks is the devil, and people hate it.
You don't like it.
I hate dexamethasone. It makes me psychotic.
Yeah.
And Paul said I lost my sense of humor for the whole time I was on it. So he just said, okay, what is, are we still looking at dex? People want to get rid of it. Can we stop it at a certain point? So Dr. Banerjee at the Hutch came to us saying, hey, I want to not only data mine the data that you have to see the relationship potentially to cataracts, because he thought there was a link, but then he surveyed patients and said, hey, what was your experience? And so we put those two things together, and he came up with great insights showing that if you have delayed use of or long-term use of dexamethasone, you are more prone to getting cataracts over time. So it has changed his practice in how he treats patients. He doesn't use it for that long a period of time, or he drops the dose. So these are practice-changing type examples of what we can do. Same thing we ran a very large 700-patient decision-making survey to find out, okay, now we have bispecific antibodies, now we have CAR T therapies. How are patients making decisions? Where do they go for information, or who are they trusting, to help make that really critical decision? And so many hundreds of you responded. So that's, we have those results because we know. So it's not just, you can compare treatment against treatment, which pharma companies are never going to do in a clinical trial, right? Because they'd never want to compare themselves head to head. So you can do that type of work. You can do survey work or invite patients. You can just mine the data to see like, okay, a patient with a certain genetic feature and how are they going to respond on a type of therapy. And you can go compare, you can even prep FDA type data to compare it for a clinical trial that's running and say, well, this is what's happening in the real world. So there's so many opportunities for patients to contribute. And I love the point that you made. A lot of patients will say, well, I'm not on therapy right now, so maybe I can't help contribute anything because I'm not always choosing clinical trials either, right? So yeah. I'm choosing treatment options at certain stages in my journey, but it's not all the time. So I have 5 years in remission. What can I actually do to help contribute? And this is what you can do.
Yeah. So I love all the possibilities and the fact that when you participate, your data actually goes into action. Right? It's not just sitting there in a big bucket of data. We do two things that we're gonna show today. And so let's get started with the first one. It's gonna be a little bit techy, but I think people will like it. So especially any like data oriented patients and people that like this kind of stuff. When you connect your medical records to HealthTree, we aggregate your data,
70 million data points.
70 million data points. And now we're starting opening that data set to US researchers. And they get access to a coding environment where they can go and start asking different questions. So for example, looks very technical, but it's basically a place where they can start asking questions and they can say, using AI, show me the histogram of HX diagnosis. And it generates this quick histogram.
Yeah, so we think, okay, let's use this one as an example. We always think, oh, the average age of diagnosis is such a later age, but you're seeing a lot of younger patients get diagnosed with multiple myeloma. So maybe it's not always the 72-year-old patient that has myeloma, right?
Exactly. So they can see real-world data and compare different edge cases and dial down into a certain patient cohort, and that's fun for researchers. So we're trying to do two things: give access, but also lower the barrier using AI. So researchers traditionally don't like doing SQL and pulling data and those kind of like technical things. It'll be amazing if they can go and ask questions directly themselves into a data set. So same thing, researchers are helping us dial down those queries. So you ask certain queries, we fine tune the AI, and as this network of researchers help us out, this will get better and better and better. So,
and also I know what you're working on is like, this looks very technical and somebody with a coding background might understand how to do it, even if it's a natural language, like show me all patients with 1114 or T414 or whatever, and break it down by age or whatever. But you're gonna actually create like nicer looking kind of interfaces, so to make it as easy as possible.
This is like technical, and you generate code using AI. Like I have some samples queries here of this data set. You can ask how many patients in the person data set. Okay, we have 1,800 there. The top 5 most common conditions. Something that is very important for patients to know is that we also get their comorbidities. So if you have hypertension and a doctor wants to make a study about hypertension, medications with myeloma or something like that, they can go and see the prevalence of that. So the top 5 most common conditions, for example, is multiple myeloma, obviously, or we're a myeloma database, but you can see that hypothyroidism, hypertension are very high there. So you can start looking at the data, the most common medications in the database. Bortezomib has been prescribed 18,000 times in our database. So you can get a sense of the volume and the different things you can start getting out of the database. The age, we already saw this one. You can check gender, female, male, 70% on the average age for break it down by gender.
So it is 70.
It is 70.
Okay.
Yeah, female is 64. So
So younger for
64.84.
women.
Yeah. So you can start doing different things. And we're betting big on AI and building these tools, as you were saying, to try to simplify it. We're going to make prettier interfaces, and we're going to really train AI to be able to extract whatever these doctors want without having this technical knowledge on the back. So hopefully we'll get there.
So the way this changes research, if we put all this into a research bucket, or we call it all research, this enables all the doctors to ask thousands of simultaneous questions at the same time. So this investigator at this facility and this investigator at this facility, when they have access to this pooled and it's anonymized data, then they can run all these queries on their own and come up with new ideas or new hypotheses, or actually just prove things with the data.
Yep. So that's one part. We're building tools and we're giving access to researchers. And the other part of the equation is, how do you give insights back to the patients themselves?
Yeah, so if a lot of patients, if you've been in a clinical trial, you know that sometimes the study doesn't share the results back with you. And that's frustrating for patients because they want to know, like, okay, I participated, I'm trying to move the field forward, either for myself personally or for people who are coming behind me, right? And they have this very virtuous reason for participating. But they also want to know what happened,
Yep.
like what happened in the study. And sometimes you have to wait years for results to read out and then to get published and then to be shared back with you. And sometimes it's not in great detail either. It's like just, something that's shown in an academic meeting or something like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you how we're doing that inside CureHub. To do that, you go to HealthTree.org, you click CureHub, then you click Accelerate Research. And if you're an existing CureHub user and you already answer a couple of surveys, you're going to see available.
Well, so before you, like, these are the surveys that are open right now that you're going to see that show under that available category.
Yeah. So you can go and answer anything. If you haven't, please go ahead and do. If you already participated in research, you go to the completed tab, and you're going to see a new button here. So, for example, we run these key decision-making factors for myeloma patients. And a very exciting research. Now the results for that one are available, so you can click on See Results. There's a small disclaimer saying that this data, you should still review that with a doctor, right? So the insights and the conclusions of these research studies, you still have to go and take to your doctor. That's fine. You click View Results, and you're going to see a PDF with all the insights, all the data, everything that came up after that research study. So we're closing that cycle. We're asking patients important questions. We're using their real-world data to come up with insights, and we're giving that back to patients. It's something we've wanted to do for a long time, and so now it's there.
So you are going to start to see these reports show up for the projects that you have participated in and complete. We will be sending out emails letting you know that that report is now inside of the platform for you to access. And again, this is an extensive, we call these a stats report, our research team calls it that. This is more detail. So let's say a survey had 10 questions and you want to see the responses for each of those 10 questions in great detail. That's the kind of report this is. Now, if you did not participate in the study and you still want to see some of the information about it, we have articles based on everything that we've done historically that give you kind of a short summary about our findings, because we want everyone to know what happened and what came out of this. But we want people who participated to have a little more depth and just reward people who are participating by giving them the deep report.
And I think that's great for the deep technical type of user. I know you go into that bucket, like you will go through that PDF and you really enjoy reading the details and the data and the study design. So that's for you and the rest of patients like you. For the rest, you can go to, as you were saying, you go to HealthTree.org, you go to our news site, and there's a tab that says HealthTree Research. you can go into that one, go through a couple of articles, and it has some more friendly or reduced information there. So it's pretty accessible. You can go read a couple, and if you participated in the other one, you can go the deep dive, and you can
Through
see
your CureHub account.
exactly. You
Yeah.
go through your CureHub account, you go to the section of Accelerate Research, and you'll see as we keep adding more results, you can click there and see everything. So I feel like finally we're where you wanted when you started all this, right? Invite patients to help, give it to researchers, give back to the patients, and just create that value cycle.
Yeah, we're speeding things up. And we don't want to wait another 75 years to get a myeloma cure. We just can't do that. And we have to change the way things are done.
Yep.
This is the way.
I think so.
This is the way we do it. So we want to share also that we will be creating a research newsletter for people who have participated in these types of things. So we will be sharing that as well. But the final point I just want to make is that the most important innovation in medicine is really you, the patient. You can contribute, you can join, you can fuel breakthroughs, and this is how we cure myeloma faster.
Yeah, I like it. Everyone can join, no matter their stage of their disease. Doesn't matter if you live far away from a research center, and we can all push it forward.
So thank you for joining. Thank you. We invite you to join HealthTree Cure Hub, and thank you for joining us for our announcement today.
Thank you.